carrot cake recipe is so good, it was published in 50 Things to Bake Before You Die. Hi, I'm Astrid from The Sweet Rebellion, and today we're going to be making my famous carrot cake. So a couple of years ago, Allyson Reedy contacted me and asked if I'd like to submit a recipe for her book, 50 Things to Bake Before You Die. I knew immediately that I wanted to submit my carrot cake recipe as it's one of my favorites and everyone always compliments me on it. I was really honored to be featured alongside chefs like Dominic Ansel and Christina Tossi. If you can get your hands on one of these books, I highly recommend it. In my opinion, what makes a great carrot cake is a dense, moist texture, lots of spices, and a rich cream cheese icing. So we've got quite a few ingredients today, but here's what you'll need. 1.5 cups of vegetable oil, 4 large eggs, 400 grams of soft brown sugar, 400 grams of flour, a teaspoon of cinnamon, 2 teaspoons of mixed spice, half a teaspoon of salt, 1.5 teaspoons of bicarbonate of soda, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, 400 grams of grated carrots, 1 cup of toasted walnuts, and a teaspoon of vanilla essence. And for the icing, 175 grams of unsalted butter, 750 grams of sifted icing sugar, 300 grams of full-fat cream cheese, and a teaspoon of vanilla essence. So we're going to start our recipe by just mixing together our wet ingredients. So that's our oil, eggs, brown sugar, and vanilla essence. So although there are a lot of ingredients in this recipe, it's actually a really easy batter to make. What I love about a carrot cake is that it's really quick and easy to make, but also impressive enough to serve for a special occasion. So the next step is just to whisk all our dry ingredients together. The reason we're using 2 raising agents in this batter is because we're not creaming together butter and sugar like we normally do, which is how you usually incorporate a lot of air into your mixture. So here in South Africa, we get this product called mixed spice, which is a combination of cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, cloves, and allspice. If you can't get that where you are, I have included a recipe in the captions which will explain how you can make your own mixed spice. Or if you don't want to make your own, you could also try using pumpkin spice. Now we're just going to gradually add our dry ingredients to our egg and sugar mixture. The reason I like to use brown sugar in this recipe is that it adds some color and some moisture, but also delicious caramel flavor. All that's left to do now is just add our grated carrots and our walnuts. So you'll notice that I grated my carrots quite finely, and I did this because it just gives a nice even distribution of carrots in the batter. So you can add any nuts you want to the batter, or you could even leave them out completely. But if you do add nuts, it's quite nice to toast them lightly beforehand, just to give it a little bit more flavor and also some extra crunch. I'm not a huge fan of raisins, but if you like them, you could add about a cup to your batter. This recipe makes a 3-tiered cake, so I'm going to divide my batter between 3 20-centimeter cake tins. So I've greased each of them and lined the base with some baking paper, just to make sure that they don't stick. If you want to be exact and have equal cake levels, it works out to about 600 grams of batter per tin. These are going to go into the oven now at 170 degrees for 25 to 30 minutes. I normally bake 2 cakes at a time so that it doesn't cool the oven down too much, but if you want to bake all 3 at once, then it will probably be about 30 to 40 minutes baking time. Now we're going to make our cream cheese icing, which is the perfect match for a carrot cake. In fact, I really like cream cheese icing because it's not quite as sweet as your standard American buttercream, but it is softer than traditional buttercream, which does make it a bit trickier to decorate with. To make our cream cheese icing, we're first going to beat our softened butter and then add our cream cheese. It's best to use full-fat cream cheese in this recipe, which is the one that comes in the block shape. This will help to keep your icing a little bit firmer. Once that's nicely mixed, we'll add our vanilla and then gradually add our icing sugar in about 3 parts and mix until it's all nice and smooth. And don't forget to sift your icing sugar so that you don't get any lumps. Once your cakes come out of the oven, just let them cool in the tin for about 10 minutes before transferring to a cooling rack to cool completely. So I'm just going to transfer my icing to a piping bag now. This step is not necessary, but I find it just makes it a little bit easier to decorate the cake. And you guys know I love a piping bag. So what I've done now is just a thin coat of icing around the sides, which is called a crumb coat. So I'll put this into the fridge now for about half an hour, just so this icing can firm up nicely, and then I'll do a final coat of icing around that's going to hide all those crumbs. So I'm just going to keep my decorations nice and simple today and just use some leftover chopped walnuts. You could also use some edible flowers or pipe on some decorations, anything you like. This is your space to get as creative as you like. There you go, that's my classic carrot cake with cream cheese icing. If you try and make my carrot cake at home, please remember to tag me on social media. Let me know in the comments below if you've got a copy of this book and which recipe is your favorite.